Hey guys, I am Jesseline. This is my niece, Ellie. She's
Hello,
in 7th
everybody.
grade and she is going to help me do this tutorial. This tutorial is going to be on percents, decimals, and fractions and how to convert from either of those, okay? So the first conversion we're going to learn is percent to decimal. So percent to decimal, so we have 90% and I want to change this to a decimal. Okay, I want to change this to a decimal. Sorry, Els, like covering your face. I want to change this to a decimal. So what you want to do is, I remember these two letters called PL, and that means if I start with a percent, I move the decimal to the left twice. Okay, if I start with the percent, I move the decimal to the left twice. So the decimal's here when we don't see it, it's at the end of the number. So if I move it twice, then I'm going to get 0.9, okay? So that's how you move percent to a decimal. You move it twice to the left, PL. Oh, you have it. There you go. So, Ellie, can you change 115.9% to a decimal?
Yeah.
And explain to them what you're doing.
Okay, so if we're doing PL, which is...
Well, you can write it first and then we'll show them.
Okay. Move the decimal 2 places to the left, which goes out to be 1 point...
So write it.
1.159.
Yeah, and so show them. So here she moved the decimal 2 places to the left and got 1.159 for the decimal. Okay? So that's percent to decimal. So you move it 2 places to the left. Great. So now we're going to do decimal to percent. So decimal to percent is the other way around. And I remember 2 words. So we have PL. So if we start with the percent, we move it 2 places to the left. And if we start with a decimal, we move it 2 places to the right. Doctor. So that's how I remember those. I remember doctor, and since doctor, the R goes with the D, then the L has to go with the P. Okay, so doctor and PL. So this means if I start with the decimal, I move it 2 places to the right. So I'm starting with the decimal. So I'm starting with the decimal here, and I'm going to move this decimal 2 places to the right. 1, 2. So 45.2, and that is going to be percent. So it's 45.2%. This is moving a decimal to a percent. Move it 2 places to the right. Okay? So Ellie's got to do 1 here too, so she's got to change 0.05 to a percent.
Well, we should be able to...
You can just do it on the board. It's hard to do it
And
yeah.
that would add up to 5%.
Yeah, what'd you do?
The decimal 2 places to the right.
Yep, 2 places to the right. Very good. So you move it 2 places to the right. So here it was. She moves it 2 places to the right, 5%. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is percent to fraction. So just to let you know, all percents are out of 100. Yes, your teacher can say you need to do 150%, but that's still 150% out of 100. Okay, she's telling you to go over and beyond the percent, the whole, okay? There is such thing as having 150% of something. That means you have a whole and then half of it. So you have 100% the whole and then half of it, 50%.
100% as a decimal would be 1.
Yes.
As a whole number.
As a whole number, you're right. So all percent is out of 100. So for example, if you have 65%, to change this percent to a fraction, all we have to do is put it over 100 because all percent's out of 100. So you just do 65 over 100 and then you simply reduce this fraction. If you need to review reducing fractions, go ahead and review that, okay? But reducing fractions, we can divide both of these by 5 and we get 13 over 20 as our reduced fraction. But just notice that 65%, I'm just gonna cover you. 65%, all percents out of 100, and that's how you change any percent to a fraction. So I'm going to do 1, and I'm gonna write on the board, but I'm gonna ask Ellie questions to see if she understands. So 445%, that's going way over and beyond, right?
Yeah.
So I said all percents out of what?
100.
100. So I write
445 over 100.
very good. So you just write 445 over 100. You know this is an improper fraction. So what you can do is you want to change it to a mixed number. 100 goes into 445 4 times without going over. And then it has 45 left over. So we have 4 and 45 hundredths. And then again, what are we going to do?
We are going
to
to
reduce.
simplify. Or reduce.
Simplify. She used a bigger word. So simplify and reduce. So 45 hundredths, I'm going to divide both of those by 5. And we get 9 out of 20. So in all reality here, 445% as a fraction is 4 and 9/20 once we do all the reducing. But again, percent is out of 100, so you just put it over 100 and reduce from there. Any questions, Els?
No?
No. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is, we did percent to fraction. We're going to do decimal to fraction. So decimal to fraction, all you have to do is how you read it is how you put it in a fraction, right? Ellie, can you read this decimal to me?
2 thousandths.
2 thousandths. So it's 2 and it's in the thousandths place. You have to know your place value for decimals and thousandths. So that means I'm gonna write 2 and over 1,000. That's how you write it in a fraction, just how it sounds. 2 thousandths. And then again, we simplify or reduce. So I'm dividing both of these by 2 because 2 goes into both of them. And we get, as a simplified fraction, 1 out of 500. And so 2 thousandths as a fraction is 1/500th. Okay, let's do another one. 4.78. Do you want to write it or do you want me to walk you through it and you just tell me?
I'll let you walk through this one.
Okay, so how would I say this as a decimal?
4.78 hundredths. 4 and 78 hundredths.
There you go. 4 and 78 hundredths. 4 and 78 hundredths. Very good, Els. So 4 and 78 hundredths means that you have the whole number of 4, and then we have 78 hundredths. So that means 78 goes over
78 goes over 100.
100. Very good. Because we write it as we say it. So 4 and 78 hundredths. And then we are going to simplify again. Both of these are even. So I know that 2 can go into them. Sometimes if I don't know a bigger number, I just write 2. And so 78 divided by 2 is 39. And 100 divided by 2 is 50. And that's all we can do is reduce. So this is 4 and 39/50ths. So decimal as a fraction. Very good. Thanks, Els. Okay, so now we're going to do fraction to decimal. So this is probably the hardest one that you're going to be able to do. All you have to do though is it's just a simple division problem. All fractions are simply division problems.
Yeah.
So like for example, 1/2. A lot of them you can memorize too. Like 1/2, you've probably memorized that it's 0.5. But if you didn't, then all you need to do is, it's a division problem. 1 divided by 2. So that means we're putting 1 divided by 2. So when you do your division, the 1 goes inside the house, if you want to say that, and 2 goes on the outside. 2 can't go into 1, so we know with division that we have to add a decimal and then a 0. And so 2 can't go into 1, we bring up our decimal. And then we say, well, can 2 go into 10? Yes, it can, 5 times. So 2 times 5 is 10. We have a remainder of 0, and we have our decimal of 0.5. Okay, so fractions as a decimal, all you do is simply divide it. Okay, let's do another one. 1/8.
I'll do
1/8.
this one if you want.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
1 divided, is that going to leave you enough room? Let's put it up here. 1/8, 1 divided by 8, right?
All you have to do is, this.
So she's got to, all you have to do is divide it out, right? 1 divided by 8.
Divide the numerator by the denominator, which is
Very
big
good.
words for the top by the bottom.
I think you have to, it has to like go like that way.
Okay, so 8 goes into 10 one time.
8 goes into 10 one time, so she's just dividing it out. So again, a fraction to a decimal, you just divide it out and use your long division skills, okay? So 8 goes into
1,
10.
2, 5.
Yeah. Well, make sure you complete it, yeah. And then minus 40, and it'll give you a remainder of 0, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Els. So here's her work. She said 8 went into 10 because we're adding zeros. It goes into 10 one time with a remainder of 2 left over. She brought down another 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16, so she subtracts 16. And then 20 minus 16 is 4. Then she's going to bring down another 0. And 8 goes into 40 5 times, and then 8 times 5 is 40, so you get a remainder of 0. So all she's doing is simply dividing it out. Okay, so 1/8 as a decimal is 0.125. Very good job, Ellie. Okay. And now we have just one more. We have fraction to percent, which is
all it really is multiple steps.
Yeah, so fraction to percent, you have to go fraction to decimal first and then decimal to percent. And we actually already know how to do that, right?
Yeah, just take all we learned in this lesson and just keep on.
Yeah, just do it. But we'll do an example, okay? So fraction to percent, so let's take 2/3. So the first step is to change this fraction to a decimal. We just learned that. Ellie took us through it. So we're going to divide it out. 2 divided by 3. 3 goes into 20, so 3 goes into 20 6 times, we get 18, and then 20 minus 18 is 2, and we notice that's just going to continue to repeat itself. So it's 0.6 repeating, okay? So, and then, so we have the decimal, and now we're going to take decimal to percent. And do you remember that? Decimal to percent. So that means we're starting with the decimal. So that's DR, doctor. We're starting with the decimal DR. So it means we move it 2 places to the right. Okay. So, now you're going to be like, but there's only one number. But remember, this is 0.6 repeating. So really it goes on forever, right? As 6. So if we move it 2 places, we put the decimal there. And we can cut it off. We can write 66.6%. Okay, we can cut it off right there. So that is how you do fractions, percents, and decimals. Great job, Els.
Bye, guys.
Bye.